behind the chrome and the roar lies a side of Harley-Davidson most riders never see. Some of its secrets you stumble on yourself, others you only learn when they're passed down from someone who's been riding longer than you've been alive. But here's the truth. In the world of Harley, no one ever knows it all. That's why we've pulled together 21 of the most fascinating secrets hidden in these machines. The kind every rider should know, but most never will.
Activate transport mode, turn your ignition on, and then you can start the bike.
When security goes rogue. Here's nothing more humiliating than turning the key and getting absolutely nothing. No lights, no whir, no heartbeat. Meanwhile, that little security LED keeps blinking like it's got the last laugh.
No light. I use everything. Look, so I use the right turn signal, no light. Left turn signal, no light.
Your bike has essentially grounded itself and you're left holding a helmet while life speeds by. What happened is simple. The security system has locked the bike down. And the worst part? It chooses the worst possible moments. Tuesday mornings, when you're already late. The good news is, Harley built an escape hatch into the system. It's not fancy, it's reliable. Do this. Turn the key to on, then off. Do it again. On, off. Now a third time, turn it to on and leave it there. You need to complete those 3 cycles inside about 10 seconds. On that third on, wait a beat and the system should blink back to life.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I punch it 1 time, and the bike is now ready to start.
No diagnostics, no drama, just 3 quick turns and you're back on the road. Think of it as Harley admitting, sometimes the electronics have a bad day, just like we do. The difference is, when your bike has a bad day, you're the one stranded. 3 turns fixes it. Reading the smoke signals. Think of your exhaust like a window into your Harley's soul. The smoke it pushes out isn't just smoke, it's language, telling you exactly what's happening inside the cylinders. But you need to know how to read the signs because not all smoke means the same thing. Blue smoke at startup? Relax. That's just oil that slipped down overnight, burning off as your engine clears its throat for the day. But blue smoke while you're cruising? That's a warning. It means oil is sneaking into the combustion chamber, a signal that worn rings or tired valve guides are cashing in their last chips. Black smoke? Too much fuel, not enough air. White smoke? Usually coolant, though on air-cooled Harleys, that's less likely. The point is simple. Your bike is always talking to you through the pipe. The trick is knowing when it's casual conversation and when it's a cry for help. Learn to spot the difference, and you'll always know what your engine's whispering before it turns into a scream. And speaking of screams, few things make your heart drop faster than your Harley suddenly howling in a parking lot. An alarm most riders mistake for noise, but it's actually code waiting to be cracked. The Audible alarm, your bike's secret language. Picture this. You grab a coffee, walk back to your Harley, and suddenly it erupts like a banshee. Your first thought? Someone's messing with your ride. But here's the secret the dealership never mentioned. That alarm isn't just making noise. It's speaking in code, and most riders never bother to learn the language. One long blast followed by short beeps. That's movement detected while armed. 3 quick chirps when you hit the fob. Your key's battery is running low. And here's the kicker. You can even customize the voice. A hidden menu, unlocked by holding both turn signals as you turn the ignition, lets you choose between whisper quiet mornings or a war cry loud enough to wake the block. But this system isn't just about theft. It logs tilt sensor triggers, battery drops, even tampering attempts.
Until you get that sound, turn it on, those buttons come on, then turn it off.
Smart riders dive into those logs monthly like checking a diary their bike keeps in secret. Why? Because unlike human witnesses, your Harley never lies about who touched it and when. And while your alarm warns you about trouble, your fuel light does something sneakier. It pretends to panic while quietly holding back a lifeline you didn't know you had. The hidden half-gallon. Here's something that'll save your bacon someday. When that little fuel light flicks on, most riders tense up. But here's the truth. Your tank isn't empty, it's just giving you a polite nudge. Hidden inside is a half-gallon reserve, Harley's way of keeping you alive when the next gas station is further than your judgment thought. At steady speeds, that reserve can carry you 20 to 25 miles, enough to turn panic into relief.
Seat up here on the hinge, fuel tank, fill the gas tank up there, airbox there.
But here's the catch. It's insurance, not permission. Use it too often and you're not outsmarting the bike. You're cooking the fuel pump that depends on gas for cooling. Treat the reserve like a parachute. Grateful to have, but foolish to deploy for fun. Think of that light not as a threat, but as Harley whispering, "Plan your stop. I've got your back." But only once. And just as your fuel system hides a backup plan, your Harley's brain has one too, especially when the weather turns against you. The rain sock rule. Nobody talks about it because it sounds like a myth, but here's the truth. Your Harley knows when it's raining before you do. Its traction control sensors read the microsecond differences in wheel spin on wet asphalt, dialing back aggression before you can even tense your grip. But here's the part that matters. The system works best when you play along. Old-timers call it the rain sock rule. Imagine your right hand is wearing a soaked sock. Every throttle twist should feel slower, more deliberate, no sudden jerks or harsh downshifts. Respect the physics, and the bike's electronics become your partner, not your crutch. And yes, the system can be overridden. 3 quick taps on the turn signal while in motion tells the computer you want full power back. Just remember, technology can only bend the laws of traction so far. Sometimes your judgment is the real rain mode. And if you think that's impressive, wait until you realize your Harley doesn't just respond to weather. It can straight up talk to you, flashing secret messages hidden inside its own gauges. The magic fingers trick. Ever imagined that your bike could communicate directly with you without a middleman? Take a look at this. Your Harley-Davidson motorcycle turn signals hold more secrets than you might know. When you press and hold both turn signal switches at the same time and turn the ignition key on, your speedometer will light up like a Christmas tree, flashing codes that tell you exactly what's wrong. Each flash pattern is your bike's way of speaking. One long flash followed by 2 short ones. That's code 12, and it means your bike's heartbeat is fine. But if you see 5 short flashes followed by 4 more, that's trouble brewing in your fuel system. Write these codes down.
Just wait a couple seconds, turn it back on. And now our ignition is back to working, flashing normally.
Your smartphone can translate them faster than any mechanic can quote you a diagnosis fee. But this isn't some modern computer wizardry either. Harley's been hiding this feature in plain sight for decades. The engineers built it in because they knew riders would need it. Your bike wants to tell you what's wrong, you just needed to know how to listen. The PIN code, DNA. Your Harley has a secret number that's more important than your social security, and chances are you've never written it down. This 5-digit PIN code is your bike's digital DNA. Lose it, and you're looking at a very expensive trip to the dealer. Without that code, even something as simple as replacing a dead key fob requires this magical number. But here's where it gets interesting. That PIN code is usually hidden in plain sight. On the inside of your owner's manual cover, behind the VIN sticker, or sometimes even etched in microscopic print on the ECM housing itself, is your Harley's digital DNA. But the real secret is this. You can change that PIN code yourself if you know the sequence. To do this, you need to turn the ignition on and off exactly 7 times while holding the horn button, and you'll enter code programming mode. Choose something memorable but not obvious. Your birth year? Terrible choice.
Run, off, run, this 1, 2. And it says enter pin right there. And you hit the left turn signal again, like that, to change the number. That's it.
But the last 4 digits of your first bike's VIN? That's smart. Write this code down and keep it separate from your bike. Chances are, the day you need it most is the day you'll be miles from home with a dead phone and a bike that won't start. The secret service menu. Your shiny new Harley with that fancy touchscreen. It's hiding more features than Harley will ever advertise. Think of it like finding secret levels in a video game, except this game costs $30,000 and gets you to work every day. But here's what you may never know about as a newbie motorcycle rider. While your bike is running and you hold down the voice command button and push the center of the joystick at the same time for about 10 seconds, screens appear that are not in any manual. But here's the thing. These hidden menus let you adjust things Harley decided you shouldn't mess with. Want your exhaust note a little different? There's a setting for that. Tired of your bike being too polite with the throttle response? You can wake it up. Think your suspension is babying you. Tell it to grow some teeth. The best part? You're not breaking any warranty by exploring. These features exist because engineers love their jobs and hate limiting what riders can do. They just can't advertise everything, or the lawyers would have a field day. Your bike has personality. These menus let you bring it out. Engine heat management system. This little piece of information can change your bike riding forever. Your Harley's rear cylinder is literally cooking itself every time you ride. It's like having a campfire between your legs, and most riders have no clue. This isn't a design flaw, it's physics. That rear cylinder sits in the shadow of the front one, getting zero airflow at idle. Air-cooled Harleys are basically controlled explosions wrapped in chrome, and that rear jug takes the brunt of the heat punishment. This is why rear cylinder heads crack, why rear exhausts discolor faster, and why your right leg feels like it's been in a sauna after city riding. But here's the secret the old-timers know. You can actually manage this heat with smart riding techniques. At red lights, give the bike tiny throttle blips every 30 seconds, just enough to pull cooler air through the fins. On hot days, lane splitting isn't just legal in some places, it's survival for your engine. But the real game changer is understanding your bike's heat cycle. Those cooling fins aren't decoration, they're precision-engineered radiators. Modern touring models have hidden temperature sensors feeding data to the ECM. When things get too toasty, the computer actually enriches the fuel mixture to cool combustion temperatures. It's happening invisibly, but it's stealing power and killing your gas mileage. Smart riders learn to read these signs and adjust their riding before the computer has to step in. The 3-second reset. Every rider knows that sinking feeling when their odometer accidentally rolls over and they lose track of when their last oil change happened. But here's a neat little secret that'll save you from scrolling through endless menu options like you're programming a VCR from 1987. The magic is in the timing. Find your trip button, usually a small button near your speedometer. Here's the trick. Tap it twice, fast. Not once, not 3 times, exactly twice within 3 seconds. Your trip meter will instantly reset to 0. No menu diving required.
You're going to press and hold this for 2 seconds. It's going to bring up the code.
It may sound stupidly simple, but think about when you actually need it. You're wearing gloves, maybe it's raining, or you're at a gas station trying to reset your trip before heading home. The last thing you want is to navigate through 17 different screens just to zero out your mileage counter. The engineers who designed this knew riders don't want to take a computer science course just to use their bike. They hid this shortcut in plain sight because they understood something important. The best technology is invisible technology. Your bike should work with you, not against you. This little double tap is proof that sometimes the smartest solutions are the simplest ones. The hidden lifeline. Imagine walking into your garage after 3 months of winter storage. You turn the ignition key on your Harley bike, and nothing. Dead as a doornail. You probably think you should have pulled the battery. But here's what seasoned riders already know. Your Harley is fully equipped to solve this problem. There's a built-in Trickle charger port that basically acts as an IV line to your battery's heart. To find it, you need to look closely under your seat or near the battery compartment to find a small, weatherproof connector with a cap. Fun fact, this little connector plugs directly into any standard battery tender or Trickle charger.
Open this port up, 3 ports. What do? Battery tender junior? Plug it up, 3rd port, not needed.
So there's no more removing the seat every time winter rolls around, or wrestling with battery terminals in cramped spaces. Just plug in and walk away. Your bike stays alive all winter, ready to roar when spring arrives. The genius part? It's fused and weatherproof. You can leave it connected outside in a rainstorm without worry. The current flows only when your battery needs it, like a smartphone charger that knows when to stop. Install this once, and you'll never face that dead battery embarrassment again. The Rain Mode Whisperer. Your Harley is smarter than you think, and it's been watching how you ride. Modern bikes don't just carry you down the road. They're studying every twist of the throttle, every squeeze of the brakes, every lean into a corner. And when the rain starts falling, your bike notices that too. But here's what's happening behind the scenes. Your bike's computer is constantly measuring how your wheels grip the road. When it detects that particular pattern of microslips, which means wet pavement, it quietly shifts into what engineers call rain mode. Your traction control becomes more protective, your ABS gets more sensitive, and your throttle response becomes gentler. You probably won't even notice it happening. But then again, that's the point. The bike doesn't flash lights or beep at you. It just starts taking better care of both of you. It's like having an experienced riding buddy whispering advice in your ear, except the advice comes through your bike's brain instead of a Bluetooth headset. This isn't about the bike not trusting you. It's about the bike knowing that wet roads change everything, even for experienced riders. Physics doesn't care how long you've been riding or how much chrome you've bolted on. When it's slippery, it's slippery. Your Harley just wants to make sure you both make it home to ride another day. The ever-loving key fob. Ever wonder why your Harley's security system seems to have a mind of its own? The answer lies in that innocent-looking key fob hanging on your keychain. It's not just unlocking your bike, it's constantly engaged in a talk with your motorcycle that most riders never realize is happening. Your fob broadcasts a signal every few seconds when you're within range, like a digital handshake saying. But here's the part that trips up new riders. This conversation has rules, and breaking them can leave you stranded. If you walk more than 30 feet away from your bike while the engine's running and the security system panics, it assumes someone stole your keys and is trying to ride off. The bike can start flashing lights and honking like an angry goose. Worse, if you turn off the engine beyond that 30-foot range, good luck starting it again without walking back into range. But here's another thing. The fob's battery typically lasts 2 years, but it gives subtle warnings before dying. The range starts shrinking. First 20 feet, then 15, then you're practically touching the bike before it recognizes you. Smart riders carry a spare fob battery because getting locked out of your own bike on a Sunday when parts stores are closed is a special kind of misery. But remember, if your fob dies completely, there's usually a backup procedure involving your PIN code, but most riders never set one up. Don't be that rider. The Jiffy Stand Guardian Angel. That side stand does way more than just hold up your bike when you're grabbing coffee. It's actually the most important safety feature on your motorcycle that nobody talks about. Think of it as your bike's guardian angel, always watching, always ready to save you from a really expensive mistake. But here's what most riders don't realize. If you try starting your bike in gear with the side stand down, it won't pick up. Why? Because it knows that engaging the clutch with the stand down could send you cartwheeling across the parking lot. But the real magic happens when you're riding. Let's say you pull into a gas station, hop off, and forget to put the bike in neutral. When you flip up that side stand to roll to the pump, your engine dies immediately. Your Harley just saved your transmission from trying to drag a 700-pound motorcycle sideways across concrete. This little switch has prevented more crashes, more injuries, and more embarrassing moments than any other component on your bike. It's been quietly doing its job for decades, asking nothing in return except that you don't disconnect it because you think it's annoying. But believe that the one time you need it, you'll be grateful it's there. Transport mode. You know that feeling when your phone goes into airplane mode? Your Harley has something similar called transport mode, and understanding it could save you from a costly service call. Transport mode shuts down nearly everything electrical on your bike. But here's where it gets interesting. Some dealers accidentally leave this mode on when prepping new bikes, and some riders accidentally trigger it without knowing what happened. Suddenly, your perfectly good Harley acts possessed. The security system won't arm, the self-diagnostics won't run. Sometimes even basic functions like turn signals act weird. You're ready to call the dealer and complain, but your bike isn't broken, it's just sleeping too deeply. Activating transport mode varies by model year, but it usually involves holding specific button combinations while turning the ignition on.
Activate transport mode, turn your ignition on, and then you can start the bike.
Once activated, a small indicator appears in your display, easy to miss if you don't know what to look for. Getting out of transport mode requires the same button sequence, like waking someone from a deep sleep. Some models need a dealer's diagnostic tool to wake up. This is why that grumpy mechanic sometimes fixes your broken bike in 5 minutes and charges you $50. He's not ripping you off, he's just speaking a language your bike understands. The cable that cries for help. Your clutch cable is having a conversation with you every time you pull that lever, but most riders never learn the language. That cable is your lifeline to smooth shifts and controlled stops, and it tries to warn you weeks before it gives up completely. When you take a look at the left side of your bike, where the clutch cable disappears into the primary cover, there's a little accordion boot covering the connection. The tiny metal strands you see when you lift the boot should be smooth and intact, lying parallel like well-combed hair. But here's what to watch for. If you see even 1 or 2 strands starting to fray or stick out, that cable is sending you a message. It's giving a heads up that it needs to be replaced before it leaves you stranded in traffic on a rainy day. But here's the sad part. Most riders wait until the cable snaps completely, usually at the worst possible moment, but your bike has been trying to tell you for miles that trouble was coming. A frayed cable is like a small cough that turns into pneumonia if you ignore it. Pay attention to that little spot where the cable enters the primary cover. It's the most honest part of your motorcycle, and it never lies about its condition. The white paste of protection. Here's something that'll save you more headaches than aspirin. A tiny dab of petroleum jelly on your battery terminals. Sounds too simple to matter, right? But this little trick prevents about 90% of the mysterious electrical gremlins that plague motorcycles. Battery terminals corrode because they're basically 2 different metals having a slow-motion chemical argument. Add a little moisture from the air, and that argument turns into a full-scale war. The result is that fuzzy blue-green crud that acts like kryptonite to electrical current. But here's the thing, corrosion can't start where it can't reach. A thin layer of petroleum jelly creates an invisible barrier that keeps moisture and oxygen away from the metal connection. It's like putting a raincoat on your electrical system. Start by cleaning your terminals until they shine like new pennies. Then apply just enough petroleum jelly to create a light film, but don't glob it on. Remember, you want protection, not an oil slick.
If there's a lot of corrosion, you'll get a lot of foam.
This 5-minute job, done twice a year, will prevent more roadside breakdowns than any other maintenance task on your bike. Your Harley's electrical system is only as strong as its weakest connection, and in the real world of rain, road salt, and humidity, those battery terminals are under constant attack. A little prevention beats a lot of pushing your bike to the nearest shop. The heat-soaked secret. Your new air cleaner isn't performing at its best right out of the box, and there's a perfectly good reason why. Think of it like breaking in a new pair of boots. Everything needs time to settle into its proper shape and function. For the first 500 to 1,000 miles, that air filter element is still finding its groove. The filter material needs to compress slightly, the housing needs to seal properly, and the entire system needs to learn how your engine breathes. During this break-in period, your bike might feel a little flat or hesitant, especially during acceleration. But here's where it gets interesting. Somewhere around that 500-mile mark, you'll hop on your bike one morning and something will feel different. The throttle response will be crisper, the engine will pull stronger, and you'll wonder if someone snuck into your garage and tuned your bike overnight. No, that's just your air cleaner finally hitting its stride. The filter has seated properly, airflow has been optimized, and your engine is getting exactly the air it wants when it wants it. Many riders think something's wrong during those first few hundred miles, but actually, everything's going exactly according to plan. Be patient with new modifications. Your Harley needs time to adapt, just like you do. The best performance improvements aren't always immediate, sometimes they're worth waiting for. The chain that binds or breaks. Inside your primary case, there's a chain that most riders never see but absolutely depends on. It's called the primary chain, and it's having one of the most important conversations your motorcycle will ever have. The one between your engine and your transmission. This chain needs to be tensioned just right, and just right means you can push it down about 1/5 to 7/8 of an inch at its tightest point. Too loose, and it'll slap around like a hyperactive kid, making noise and wearing out everything it touches. But when it's too tight, it'll bind up, fighting your engine every time it tries to turn.
What we need to do is spin this again to make sure we do have that tight spot still. Okay.
Here's what's tricky. This adjustment affects everything. Get it wrong and your clutch might drag, your shifting might be notchy, or your engine might vibrate differently. Picture it like the tuning of a guitar, where one string affects how all the others sound. Most riders never check this because it requires removing the primary cover, and that feels like serious surgery. But this chain is working harder than any other chain on your bike, transferring all the power your engine makes to your rear wheel. It deserves attention. If your bike has been making strange noises from the left side, or if shifting has become more difficult lately, that primary chain might be trying to tell you something. Listen to it before it decides to have the last word. The 30-second rule. Your Harley's oil pump is basically the heart of your engine, and like any heart, it needs time to get blood flowing to all the right places. But here's what most riders do wrong. They fire up the engine and immediately twist the throttle, asking for full performance before the oil has even reached the top end. Think about it this way. Your engine oil spent the night settling into the bottom of the cases, pooling in the sump like a lazy cat finding the warmest spot in the house. When you hit the starter, that oil has to travel up through passages, around corners, and through filters before it reaches the valve train and cam bearings. This journey takes time, but not so much. All you need is 30 seconds of human time, but in motorcycle minutes, that's an eternity when you're eager to ride. Here's the rule. Start your engine, then do something else. Put on your gloves, check your mirrors, or just listen to the engine settle into its idle rhythm. Watch your oil pressure light. When it goes out, that's your engine saying it's ready to roll out. Only then should you put it in gear and start asking for power. This simple habit will add tens of thousands of miles to your engine's life. Patience at startup isn't just good maintenance. It's a conversation between you and your machine about respect and longevity. The screwdriver save. Imagine you are miles from anywhere, and your starter relay decides to take an unscheduled vacation. Your engine turns over strongly, your battery is charged, but hitting the starter button gets you nothing but the sound of disappointment.
It's wanting to go, but it's like bound up.
Before you start walking or calling for a tow, try this old rider's trick. Find your starter relay, a small black box usually positioned in your fuse panel. Pop it out and look at the terminals. You'll see 4 connections, but you only care about the 2 big ones, the ones that carry the heavy current from your battery to your starter. With your ignition on and your bike in neutral, take a screwdriver and carefully bridge those 2 large terminals while pressing your starter button. The screwdriver is doing the relay's job manually, completing the circuit that tells your starter to engage. But this is not a permanent fix. It's an emergency bypass that should get you home safe, or at least to the mechanic's shop. Once you are out of danger, you should replace it as soon as possible. But the best part about this hack is that when you're 50 miles away from the nearest parts store, this little trick can be the difference between riding home and waiting for a truck. And here's another thing. Always keep a small screwdriver in your toolkit. You never know when you'll need to have a direct conversation with your electrical system, bypassing the parts that have given up on you. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.